So tomorrow is our debate, and I am so excited. And so that we can begin on time, I'm just going to share with you a few things that I'm thinking of off the top of my head to get us going for tomorrow. One would be this post that I put up on Friday. It may be helpful for you. Your evidence file is here, the debate schedule. I also included a movie which shows you a little bit about the debate flow and some strategies for you to think about when you're on the floor debating. So I'd like you to also take a look at the Google Slides that are linked with this video. This will be what I'm using to move us through the debate tomorrow. You have your debate prompt, and then we move into items that you would need to do or find to be prepared. I am asking that you change your name on Zoom just for our class if you can. If you know how to do that, you'd want to change it to your debate title. So whether you're judge or you're pro or you're con. And I ask that you do have your phone on, but on silent. I do recommend you having your phone to take pictures of your opponent's opening statements when they present and share their Google Slides. I also ask that you find in your shared with me your Google note-taking document that I created for you. Again, I shared it with you on Sunday. So you should have a blank note-taking document with each member of your team for a place for that person to take notes. And then at the top of your note-taking document, you will find questions to ask in attack defense round. You will develop these questions as a team when you meet to huddle after the opening statements. So the reason why we have this shared note document is really because we're not with each other or physically near each other. We can't speak with each other. So I suggest having a shared Google Doc where you can tag someone in the comments if you want, or you can just all be on the same document at one time contributing. This is a great way to be able to take notes while your opponent is delivering its opening statements, taking notes on weaknesses in their argument, holes that you want to poke in their argument, questions that you're thinking of when you listen to your opponent's opening statements. Each person has a space for that, like I said, and then after you have all listened to the opening statements, you're going to get together in a huddle and you're going to collectively think about questions that you would like to ask in the questioning round, which is the attack round. And remember, we attack our opponent with questions. So that would be this document. You can reorganize it if you want. The next thing we want to do is find back to these slides right here. Please have your Google Slides open that you have prepared with your team. This again would contain all of the pieces of the argument from your opening, from this assignment, right? So 1, 2, 3, your 3 reasons and examples and research and counters and rebuttals, that's all considered your opening statements if you're debating. And that should be somehow represented on a shared Google slideshow that you will use and you will present in your opening statements. Here are the teams. We have, again, our position, and we have the pro and the con. Con goes first in this structure. So con is green and pro is blue. Debate agenda, it will be split across 2 days, Monday and Tuesday. My hope is that we get through attack defense rounds by the end of the class on Monday. That leaves us with just a final chunk of the debate, which is the judges rounds and deliberation. So we're going to start the class by meeting in teams for 5 minutes. This is the time when you should make sure that all teammates have this shared document and that they can locate it and that they have the shared Google slideshow that you have created for your team. You should also make sure that your team has a system of taking notes where everybody is included. Again, that is this document. Really important because this is the last time you guys, this huddle will be the last time you're together until after you've heard your opponent's opening statement. So anything you want to say, you have to kind of say it in the brief time that you have together right away at the top of the debate schedule. You also have to identify your speakers for the opening statements. I definitely recommend splitting it across at least 2 speakers and make sure that the speakers are aware of the exact portion of the argument they're speaking and the order in which they speak. And also please identify someone to share the screen for your team. And I will write that in. I forgot. After that first team huddle, we're going to go into about 10 minutes of opening statements. And again, Con, you're green, so Con would present its opening statements first. And while Con is presenting, Pro, you are in your document, you are thinking of listening for any weaknesses that you think you are hearing in your opponent's argument, maybe questions that you're thinking about, maybe just taking notes on what you hear so that you'll be ready to go after the debate. And then Pro, you would present your opening statements and Con will listen. Same thing on its note-taking document for any holes in the argument. I also recommend that you have your phone on camera mode and that you take a picture of your opponent's slides. And if you ever need your opponent to go back to a specific slide, just wait until after they're finished presenting the argument. At the very end, before we go into huddle, you will have a moment to ask clarifying questions, not probing questions, but only clarifying so that you, if you didn't hear something, you may ask for something to be repeated. We then go into this is like, I think the most important part of it, right, is the huddle. And this is where you would prepare for your attack questions or questioning round. We attack with questions. The better the questions are, the better the attack will be. So Con will start the attack questioning round first, and then Pro would then go and attack Con down here. But the huddle is when you would meet with your team to review your team notes that you took and to all be in this document together as if you were around a table together and you are working with each other to determine the 6 to 12, I know 12 is a lot, but 6 to 12 questions you would like to ask of your opponent in the next round. Also, during this huddle, you're going to select at least 2 team members to take the lead on attack, and those 2 team members or another 2 team members to take the lead on defense. So to respond to questions that you are asked. Now, if someone else wants to speak who are not those 2 or 3 people that you've chosen, absolutely, by all means, just unmute and speak. It's often more fluid and efficient if you select 2 people who really are willing to take on the responsibility of not only addressing the questions that you have come up with as a team, right? You don't want to leave your team hanging and just go with what you want to ask. But those 2 lead questioners or attackers really need to be aware and respectful of what your team has decided will be your 6 to 12 questions. And also those 2 people who are questioners really want to keep the floor or hold the floor, meaning you want to make sure that your side is managing the conversation or is managing the debate. So if you are questioners, you want to ask a question, but you also want to listen to your opponent's response, right? You're listening to it so that you can ask another question and another question. So each response from your opponent, right, should elicit from you another question. So it's like a constant tennis match, except you are just questioning, because you holding the floor in managing the floor is when you have the power on the debate floor, meaning your opponent, you're kind of boxing your opponent in a little bit, because you have the conversation, you have the talking. And likewise, if when time comes to flip and you become the defense and your opponent is asking questions of you, you want to hold the floor. So as responders, you want to manage that and keep talking. And yes, you may respond with a question back if it's clarifying, but you want to withhold any questions in your responses. When your opponent attacks you with questions, you want to respond and have that response show the judges and your opponent that you know what you're talking about, and you have the data, and perhaps it's reading evidence, perhaps it's asking people to look at this slide that you're going to put up. But whatever it is, as responders to your opponent's questions, you want to manage the talking, and you want to do that with your position. So holding the floor is, having your position out there the most and the longest, and not giving your opponent that wiggle room to take the floor back from you, if that makes sense. Those lead questioners are really responsible for keeping the flow and holding the floor for their team. Of course, other people on the team can unmute and jump in and ask questions, absolutely. But the attack defense is like this. It really is. From pro to con. It's just that one side is constantly questioning, the other side is trying to constantly defend with responses, with evidence, with position statements. Okay, so then that flip-flops, and then we have a final huddle where the team goes back, each team goes into its breakout room again, and you are writing closing statements. And really this is addressing anything that you felt was left unsaid at any point in the debate. And also just the final points of reinforcement, why your position should be selected as the winner in this debate. And then day 2, we're going to finish with beginning with the huddle, and then closing statements, and then the judges will have their opportunity to ask questions, because you have like 7 judges who are listening to you and who have been listening to you. And then judges meet in a breakout room to deliberate, and they have their own note-taking sheet that's a little different, but they would decide the rationale for the winning position and then deliver that rationale statement to the debate. This just goes through the different things you should be doing while we're in each part of the debate. So again, this is debate huddle. You would then share your slides for opening statements, and then we have attack defense round or questioning round. 1, which would be pro, is defending while con is attacking. We have attack defense round 2, where pro attacks and con defends. And then we have our closing statements and judges round. So that is the debate. I did include a debate video from last year that may be helpful in seeing how, starting at like 3 minutes and 10 seconds, just to kind of see what it feels like. Obviously, we're not in person, but you have this, what we're doing at the different points. And you can see where this is the attack defense, and you have the 2 sides kind of facing off, but you do have your lead questioners. Again, we're not in together, but we do, we would attack with questions. And I just want to show you this one part of the attack defense round where you have the team that is defending itself does use the strategy of holding the floor or time on the clock, meaning that they keep the debate with them, right? And so the team to the right is the team that is defending, and the team to the left is the team that is attacking. And just let's watch what that team on the right is doing to prevent the questioners, to prevent more questions from their opponent.
On page 36. Okay, Val. It states. Yeah. I got practice. I can't work at this school and play football too. The team needs me. And then you said, I'm the boss. You understand? I'm the boss around here. I do the only thing. So he's technically saying everything I said, you
and they still have the floor
so you made him
as defense.
Play football. The love was never.
And that is to prevent more attack questions.
So he can pursue getting money.
And then this next segment, I want you to watch how the teams have flipped. So the team on the left is the team that you saw that was defending itself, but now they're on the left and they are attacking. They are questioning their opponent. So I want you to hear them at the strategy that the lead questioner uses when that person is building their attack or presenting their attack questions of its opponent.
It's like we are professional attorneys now. Corey said,
you overwhelmed with responsibility of being a housewife, and it was a lot for you to handle. So why were you so focused on Troy instead of your own son? You couldn't. You claimed you did everything in your power to make sure it happened. Why not your son?
Well, Rose.
So what I want to point out there was that lead questioner, right, they have flipped from being on the defense to now being on the offense, and they are asking the question of their opponent by restating, you said, da, 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 da. So how is it that, right? So repeating back what the opponent said is very powerful. It also gives a context to your questions. So I hope that was a little helpful. You can finish watching if you'd like. I think, this is the hardest part. It is extemporaneous. It is off the cuff, and you will hopefully have a lot of fun and begin to think and build logic in real time. And I cannot wait